Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Ruka.
And Big Boy Salmon here, bringing you a hot or not on My Isekai Life.
Creativity, the powers that Yuji has and the way that he uses them are really unique. Even bringing like a modern feel to it with his magic headset, the way that he communicates with his summons, and also his approach to magic is very technological, like the way that he has the interface in front of them, they look like computer screens, and it just feels like obviously this is an isekai, he's trying to bring those modern comforts to his fantasy life.
To me, it looked like my job. And it's funny how Sister Lily saw magic circles, but what Yuji saw was loads of boxes and codes and basically event-driven software or ladder logic, and it was pretty cool to see the two different viewpoints of that, because once he said, what was it, Magic Maker, oh my god, I was like, yeah, I'm hooked. This magic system is the best system. I want this system. He can create his own spells, he utilizes aspects of spells with each other and basically transfers them through his monsters. And I'm not sure if he's a summoner because they called him a tamer, so I don't know if the creatures he has are part of the world or he has created them yet, but I really want to find out.
Entertainment. I was entertained because I was constantly asking certain questions while I was going through. The pace is quite fast, but not too fast, like it's fast in a good way. It made me wonder why Yuji is so willing to show everyone his powers with no fear. I mean, I know that he's really overpowered, but there's got to be something in this world more powerful than him that he should be worried about, because if not, I think I'd be a little bored. Like if he's just the strongest, then there's no challenge. I also liked Yuji's powers. I know I already mentioned this in creativity, but the powers, he can transfer powerful magic to his other summons or his tames, I don't know, I'm calling them summons, and see what they see, which is really great because obviously he's way more powerful than his slime, let's just say. He can create the magic himself and then transfer a powerful magic that the slime wouldn't be able to do on its own, so that is sick. And I also like the way the slimes are used as some sort of intelligence network. It makes me feel like in the future, if they keep this up, we're gonna get a lot of information through these slimes that are stationed in all of these different places, and I think that it can really make the anime worthwhile.
Yeah, so from an entertainment aspect, like normally the characters that are similar to Yuji, I really find boring and I don't like them in general. But in this anime, it works. It's like if Sasuke was actually cool, like, you know what I mean? It actually felt correct. He had to be stoic. You could tell that he has feelings because when he reminisced about his life in the real world, you can tell he had a smile. So he's not a totally wooden character. He has the aspects that show humanity, but when it comes to getting the job done, my guy gets the job done. The fact that he had to use HP as well in order to make sure that the second spell went off alludes to the fact that he's not infallible, he's just OP, but there are things that can get him, and I really did like that. And I really felt that the anime episode was too short because I just wanted to see more, to be honest.
Character development. So first I want to talk about Aegis, and he's the head of the Adventurers Guild. I really appreciated his character. The way that he made really tough choices really quickly in a crisis was great to me, especially because the buck stops with you. So a lot of the time there'll be a little bit of hesitancy. He had none of that. He didn't care. And he also made a smart choice, even though it was the most difficult choice, and that was to abandon the town, save as many of the adventurers as they can, so that when they're trying to recuperate, they have their strongest members alive. I know it's a horrible choice, but they had such short amount of time to make it. I think it was the intelligent choice to make. Obviously, he didn't realize that Yuji was as good as he was, and so that was the choice he made. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of his character, although it doesn't seem like we will, since Yuji is like a traveling, I don't know what the hell he is, a traveling adventurer. He doesn't stick in one place, but I really do hope that we see Aegis again. And then Yuji, he seems like he could be an interesting character. He has a lot of potential, but I don't understand like his motivations and like why he decided to go so far for a town that he was just passing through and why he's traveling in the first place. I get the feeling that he's dealing with a bigger conspiracy, but I don't know. Like, I don't really know much about his character, I feel, for a main character.
So I want to talk about Proud Wolf. Now, Proud Wolf is one of the creatures that Yuji uses, and the fact that his name is Proud Wolf isn't lost on me because he seems like a bit of a pussy, to be honest. But when push came to shove, he did what he had to do. He went, he fought, and he saved the people. Whole time complaining about it, but he did the job. Also, the slimes, like Ruka said, they're an intelligence agency, basically all to themselves. And the fact that Yuji uses them as a conduit for his magic is actually a pretty cool taste on the magic system that we rarely see. We have seen it before, but only in slight aspects. So for example, Overlord had a similar thing when characters in the game Yggdrasil could build their own artifacts to create their own spells. There's lots of different anime that have used this sort of system, but nothing so intricate and woven into the story like this that I have seen.
World building. Immediately, I found it interesting that the Tamers were seen as the lowest on the totem pole. Everyone was just saying like, oh, you're just a Tamer. And then when they were speaking about Yuji, they also said things like, we know you're not the run-of-the-mill Tamer. So you'd think that this class would be in a league of its own. It's weird that they're seen as low. Maybe it's something to do with like MP costs and things like that people just don't have. I don't know. And I also found the Adventurers Guild in this particular town interesting as well, because they didn't treat adventuring like a job, or the way that you usually see adventuring portrayed in isekais usually, or just anime in general, which gave me the feel that they were locals, especially because they had refused to leave the townsfolk. Maybe those are their family members. The world building in this is kind of difficult to pinpoint for this episode, just because we know that Yuji is just passing through here and we know that this is not the entire world. However, I feel like that works in its favor in this regard because it makes the world seem larger, the way that he has to move from place to place.
So, straight from jump, you knew that this world was what it was. Now, Yuji was being attacked by a monster. He defeated the monster, and then multiple versions of that monster came after the town. What were they going for? Who were they hunting? Was it because of Yuji? Nobody knows yet, but we will probably find out. Now, I'd like to say normally that worlds like this are run-of-the-mill. You can always see what kind of world it is straight away. It's a medieval town, blah, 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 blah. But no, because of the way that the characters were interacting with each other and the loyalty that the adventurers had to the Adventurers Guildmaster was actually really strong. You understood that this was a little town village. You understood that they had ties here. You understood the anguish on Aegis' face when he had to make the decision. You understood it all straight away, and it wasn't because of scenery and special effects.
Plot execution. Big boy Sama.
I've actually got something to say on this one. This is a weird anime to me because it was a bit unforgiving, and I think it was a bit meta in that sense because, again, they alluded to some sort of programming background. They alluded to some sort of programming working with magic, and yet there's a program called C++, which is one of the most unforgiving languages out there. To the verdict!
Creativity, hot or not?
Well, Ruka, it's definitely a hot for me. The magic system alone makes it a hot in terms of creativity, but it's not just that, it's the use of the slimes, because you don't see it like this. It's a small army, a very tactical intelligence force, and I like it. Hot.
This was also a hot from me, also because of the magic system. That was the most interesting aspect of the anime, and that's not saying that the rest isn't. I just was really interested in the magic, and I can't wait to find out more about the magic. And also, I loved the way all of the slimes had separate personalities, but then they also alluded to the fact that the slime is one entity, but it splits up. And when it splits up, you get all of its personalities. I like that too. Entertainment, hot or not?
Thoroughly entertained. I feel like the episode flew by too quickly, and I was literally hungry for more. I definitely want to see more of this anime.
It's a hot for me. I was entertained the whole way through. It did really feel quick, but it just makes me feel like the whole season is going to be very bingeable, which is great news for us for our part 2. So we'll be able to get through it without struggling. Yeah, entertained. Character development, hot or not?
So in terms of character development, it's a hot for me. Every other character was exactly what they should be in a crisis of this situation, including the slimes, including the proud wolf, and including the main character. Everyone played their parts correctly. You could tell who was what and what their motivations were, except for the main character, and they were allowed that air of mystery in order to further the plot along. I loved it and I wanted to see more, and I think they did a good job there. Hot for me.
Unfortunately for me, I'm gonna have to say that the character development was a not. Now, yes, I did like Aegis's character and even Gale, but nothing was enough. It wasn't enough for me what we were given, and the MC really let it down with the character development. I don't know who he is at all. Yeah, that's unfortunate. World building, hot or not?
So for me, in terms of world building, yes, I think it's a hot. They set the scene and carried on the same pace the whole way through in order to give you where Yuji is and what kind of world he's in. We know what it is. We know what it's like. Death is around every corner and he's a guy who's going to take it to.
World building for me is a hot. I liked the world that they've started to build, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of the world. I'm liking that it seems to be quite large. Plot execution, hot or not?
For me, plot execution is a not. There is no plot. I was just given a series of actions and motivations. Like, look, don't get me wrong. It's clear from my judgment what I feel about this anime. But true to form, episode 1 left me with more questions about what is actually going on and where they're going with it than meets the eye. You mentioned the cult, but you didn't even mention them by name. Didn't give us any idea what the artifacts that you found actually meant. You know, that kind of thing. Like, you had good pacing. You had good storytelling without the actual story. So unfortunately, it's a not for me.
It's also a not from me. There was no plot, and I don't think I need to really explain that any further. But you know, it's hard to have a plot in your first episode, especially when your anime is set up like this. So it's not really counting against them, in my opinion. So there you have it. Big Boy Sam has gone for 4 out of 5 hots, and I have gone for 3 out of 5 hots. So we both think that it's going to be hot based off of its first episode. And there you have it.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
And if you made it this far, thank you so much.
Peace.